authentic.
Sounds authentic. Yeah. It doesn't sound cookie cutter.
Right.
We became cookie cutter. I shouldn't say parody.
Right.
We became cookie cutter, and I think that's what
that'll give
and
you
generic.
Yeah.
And that's I think what happened to metal.
So let me ask you a question, since Paul's been asking all the questions, because I can never get a word in edgewise.
Doesn't shut up, right?
Well, dude,
do it while he's sipping on his coffee.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Half and Half Podcast.
Hey,
boo.
I was about to drink right before I said that.
Please.
What's up? What's new?
Nothing, man. It's been a bitch of a week.
Why?
Let's start off with you first, because mine's depressing.
It's been interesting. Yeah, mine's been a little depressing too, but I don't want to really get into that.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Although, courtesy of a good friend of ours, you know, we're making some new potential progress with the guitars.
Yes. Even though we keep saying it every episode, the guitars are coming out. The guitars are coming out.
They are. They're just sitting there.
They are.
But we're trying to make deals to make our life a little bit easier, to make it more plausible to be able to produce a little bit more. So we're getting closer. Slowly but surely, we're getting closer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, other than that, I mean, you know, I there's not a whole lot going on. I did use the Ouija board this weekend.
Dude, I was going to say that. And as bad as I want you to talk about it, I just feel like you're just building up good material for our Halloween episode. I know.
And the thing is, it's like fresh in my head. I have taken notes and written down what's going on, but it's crazy. It's crazy shit.
Something tells me you're going to continue to play until fucking Halloween. So, I mean, you'll be all right.
Yeah, maybe. But that's been fun.
I think you do need to make note of the recent coincidences that have been happening.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to have to talk about that. Yeah. I know, and people are going to be like, what the hell? Do we have to wait till October? I don't know. I mean,
motherfuckers.
Really?
Yes, it's called anticipation.
No, I feel like we've got to have an early haunted Halloween episode. Yeah, dude.
You want to do Halloween in July?
Dude, because then by the time Halloween comes, we're going to end up doing like 5-part episode.
That's fine. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I don't play with the devil, so I don't have shit to say. We just rely on you.
So what's been up with you? Hey, did Tony ever hear the last episode when I called him out?
He did.
And is he going to be on?
And I asked him, I said, so what's up? Are you on? And he goes, eventually. That's all he said. Eventually.
Whatever, Tony.
Yeah, well.
That was an open invitation, and you just lost it.
Yeah, right. He's always welcome on this. No. Oh, stop.
Only when there's half. It's got to be a whole, Adrian.
Bull, really?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember that. You remember what you just said when we talk about shit, and 2 days later you're like, so I decided to do this. What happened to the fucking half?
Hey, it's only a good decision making.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Stop it.
Sometimes, sometimes you need to act quick, and you're not around.
You're just lucky I'm an agreeable, lovable guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now.
I just slap you on the butt and say, cheer up. It'll be all right.
It's funny you say that, because you actually have done that before.
Yeah. So anything else?
Oh, man. Well, my week's been eventful, to say the least. Mm-hmm. Today, speaking of coincidences, I woke up a little earlier. I dropped my kid off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know what?
My kid.
Your
stepchild.
I said, I'm going to warm up the car. I go warm up the car. I noticed my daughter's got fucking ice all over her window. I said, I'm going to be a good dad and I'm going to take it off. I start scratching it. I look down, her fucking tire's blown.
Oh, that's today?
That was today. So that's why I was a little bit late, because I had to step into dad mode and change that fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, bit of bad news. Yesterday, my grandpa passed.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So we're dealing with that. I was going to cancel, but I said, you know what? Art does not sleep for no one.
Well, I'm sorry. Like I said, my condolences to you and your family.
Thank you.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of death in the last couple of years.
It has, dude.
But you're, trucking along.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm staying strong for my mom.
Yeah,
You know
of course. Yeah, you kind of have to be.
Yeah. Like right now when we're done, I got to go pick her up just because she's in the I don't want to be alone phase. Or stage, I should say.
So no holding hands today?
Duh. You're going to walk me to my car.
So with that being said, we have a special guest in the studio
Speaking of holding hands.
who's looking at us in a very uncomfortable...
Please introduce me so I can say I'm sorry about your grandpa.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And not pretend like I'm not here.
So we have with us in the studio today Mr. Pepe Clarke Magaña.
Hello. I'm sorry about your grandfather.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so Pepe was sitting there awkwardly as we're staring into each other's eyes, talking about holding hands.
I love that your podcast is half and half, and the one with your wife is like, oh, together for the dogs.
I know, right?
Makes sense.
And then, you know what's really funny? She gets so pissed off at me because when we do that podcast, I'm kind of like, I don't know, I have like an attitude where I'm just kind of like...
Like an attitude or
I don't want to be
an
here.
attitude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and then so she's always like, why do you sound so happy when you're with Adrian? And with me, it's like a chore. And I'm like, well...
Because it's only for the dogs. It is a chore.
Exactly.
I'm doing it for the dogs. We put it in the title, Danny. Right. Don't you get it?
Exactly.
I've already told her a million times, you can't front on this, man. She knows I was here first.
Yeah.
You know?
She can't. And I remind her of it all the time.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just have a habit of drinking coffee, and I know it's...
You take sips before every word you say.
I know, so sorry.
Makes for awkward silence, Paul. I don't think it's good for podcasts.
And it makes for ugly noises on the fucking microphone.
Hey, like, I don't chew my gum at least.
Oh, sorry.
So Adrian here, though, chews gum all the time.
I do, because you say it makes you hungry. When we were kids, I would answer the phone. You'd be like, "Are you chewing gum?" And I'd say, "Yeah." And you'd be like, "Oh my god, it makes me so hungry."
But that's what I mean when we're actually on the phone, not when we're doing our podcast.
Hey, man,
it makes me so hungry. Can you keep chewing it?
And then he would get mad at me for chewing ice on the phone.
Oh, it's the worst.
That's annoying, dude.
ASMR, I don't understand it. I really don't get how people want to listen to people chew. I don't get it.
You know,
they don't. Nobody does.
Well, apparently millions do.
Millions do?
Dude, have you
they
seen
like that?
You've seen the ASMR channels on YouTube?
No.
Dude, these people that literally, they're called mukbangs, right? So they just get a shit ton of food. And the whole video is them eating near a microphone. And you hear every fucking slurp, chomp, crunch.
And people...
Millions of views.
What?
Yeah.
Why am I not doing this? I eat all the time. I'm fat.
You know what? That should be the next venture, dude.
What?
Start getting Pepe started an ASMR channel.
Dude, yeah, imagine and you can have the food like on your snare. So you're behind a drum set.
Incorporate the drums. Yeah, make it a thing.
Yeah. Every time you take a bite, you hit the hi-hats.
Yeah. You could put pizzas on the cymbals.
They won't last long. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So there's this. I don't like the ASMR shit either. But there's this one guy that he'll cook a meal.
Guy?
Yeah, dude.
Oh man,
he'll
you just made it worse.
The craziest meals. Like he will get, for example, he'll do like a slice of cheese, a slice of ham, a slice of cheese, like literally like 100
Oh, you're talking
of
about
them.
the Chinese guy?
Yeah.
My wife loves that guy.
Dude, and then at the end, he'll
starts eating it. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I like it when
people love this.
Yeah, dude.
Millions.
I love watching it.
It's
too.
crazy.
It's crazy the things people will do, knowing that nobody will know that they're watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm going to sit there here and watch this. Nobody knows that I'm doing it, and this is what I love to do.
The crazy part that baffles me about this day and age is you're a talented person. Does it strike a chord that all these people are wildly famous for zero talent?
I mean, no. I guess what upsets me is that I don't think of these things. You know what I mean? I don't realize that there's this market that I could have taken advantage of.
Right.
You know?
Still can. It's never
I guess
too
you can,
late.
yeah.
But it's true. Like what he's saying is a lot of time now it becomes like oversaturated when it's kind of like, damn, 10 years ago, why did I not think to just record myself eating
Here's
food?
the thing though. Saturated or not, there's a different angle you can go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like Mexican food a whole lot?
I do.
I have yet to see one Mexican ASMR guy, so you can just binge out on tacos and
Corner
shit.
of that market.
Yeah.
I like it.
See what I'm saying?
You're right.
That's a good point. Because they're usually like Asian girls. and they're eating like fried chicken.
Yeah.
Really?
Like weird shit.
It's so fucking weird. Or like squid, something that's like really slimy.
Live octopus and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And then like
This
some of them.
This is blowing my head.
But then there's also the ASMR where they just whisper.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No. What is ASMR an acronym for?
Audio sensory something or other.
Really? I never known. So like girls will sit there with like really long nails and they'll touch the mic and they'll just whisper things, like random things, but they have like such a sensitive mic that you hear every like crackle, and it's the weirdest shit, dude, but people love it. Yeah.
Love it.
Like apparently people like to go to sleep to that shit.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know.
It's weird.
Maybe
it grosses me out.
Maybe the eating, I could sleep to that. Like,
no. No, man.
It's the crunchiness. I get the crunchiness. Other than that, I don't get it.
Maybe you could do one like snoring for people that are lonely, so they think they're sleeping with somebody else.
Dude,
you know,
that is fucking genius. I'm stealing that, dude.
I'm just gonna record myself at night.
Yeah.
Yes, dude, that is actually pretty smart when you think about it. It's like I read a meme the other day said, "What is it that people that snore? It's just a way of like." Being able to say like, look at me, I'm asleep and you're not. It's like a way of bragging. So yeah, dude. I mean, I'm sure like, dude, people pay to get cuddled at night. You know what I mean?
What?
Right.
Yeah. Dude, there's professional cuddlers. Have you ever heard of that?
Dude, I'm going to do that.
Do you remember the movie Young Guns?
Absolutely.
You remember they go to a whorehouse and then
all he wants to do is Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah.
He's like, ma'am, I just want you to hold me.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie. But it all costs the same.
That's right. Oh, shit. That's with Emilio.
Yeah.
That's right.
That movie's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah.
It really is.
The
1
best.
and 2. Yeah.
I like 2 the better.
The better?
The better. Better
Really?
than, yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm more partial to 1.
2 was really good.
Did you guys ever see, speaking of Emilio, one of my favorite movies that nobody really talks about? It was with him and Charlie Sheen. It was called Men at Work.
Oh, yeah. The truck driver.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, dude.
Yeah.
I can still watch that movie, and I love every second of it. But, like, nobody talks about it.
It's weird.
Such a great movie.
It's weird that they're brothers. That's the weird part.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that you and I are brothers, and we are lovers at the same time.
It's called incest.
Yeah.
We just don't like to put it out there, Pepe. We know what it is. We just don't like to bring it to light.
So, Pepe, now that we have you here.
Let's make a proper introduction.
Yeah. So, Pepe's no stranger to interviews.
Nope.
And that is exactly why this is not an interview. This is more of a conversation. But we do have questions. We have very, very personal. No.
Bring them on. I'm an open book.
Did you have anything that you wanted to?
I mean, should we
get into first?
Allow Pepe to give him.
Yeah, of
give
course.
a bit of background.
I would love for you to talk about a little bit of kind of who you are, what you're working on, like
bring our 11 listeners up to speed.
Hey, so I was doing the math. Remember we said because of Jason, it's a half.
It's a half, so 10
that's,
and a half.
So that's 0.5, right?
But then with Eric,
it's 3/4.
Oh, you're right.
So that's 0.75. So when you add them,
nerd,
it goes to it's 12.25.
Oh, we got 12.25 listeners.
12.25 listeners.
Yes,
I like it.
Thank you for that, Paul.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
So yeah, talk a little bit just who you are.
My name is Pepe. I am a drummer. That's what I set myself out to do in my life, and I've been playing drums since I was a little kid. I play in a band called Kyng, and I play in a band called Strife. And I grew up in Juarez. I moved to California when I was 18. I lived there for 14 years, and I moved to El Paso 7 years ago, and I opened a school called Let There Be Rock School.
Yes, an amazing school. So
what does this school offer? What do you do in this school?
Oh, we do music lessons for kids and adults and everyone that wants to play guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, vocals, and ukulele. Because Junior plays ukulele.
Does he
Did you know
really?
that? Yeah.
Of course he does. Of
Yeah.
course.
I know, right?
What the hell? I bet you he plays a mean skin flute.
I can't confirm nor deny.
That's crazy. My kid loves the ukulele. He
Really?
learned how to play. He learned how to play ukulele before he learned how to play guitar.
So let me ask you this, Pepe. This is a question I've always thought of. You know, at the border, I have like 4 of them. You know, you can buy those little guitars when you're crossing over.
Yeah.
Is that a ukulele, or is it just a mini guitar?
No, I think. Well, some might be ukuleles and some might be little guitars.
Oh, okay.
Well, if it's
Because some are legit instruments.
Yeah.
You know what I
right.
mean? Yeah.
I mean, if it's 6 strings, it's a little guitar. If it's 4 strings, it's a ukulele.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I've never like actually held a ukulele in my hands, so
wow.
I don't know what makes. To me, I'm like, that's a little guitar. Oh no, it's a ukulele. I don't know the difference.
Yeah, the number of strings.
The number of strings, and then the strings are wired different. Like it's not like low to high or high to low.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
See,
Like, you know, if you do a chord like this on the ukulele, it's like this.
Sorry.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like the chord is like, it's backwards.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. You learn something new every day. I had no idea. Like, I've never touched a banjo a day in my life.
Oh, that'd be fun to play.
You know what I
Those
mean?
are probably awesome.
Yeah,
We
right?
should teach banjo.
That'd be
You
cool.
should. I would definitely sign up. Steve Martin, one of the world's greatest comedians.
Yeah,
He's
I
an
know.
amazing banjo player.
I know that.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell? I'm learning all kinds of shit today. So
You're the smart one.
supposed to be.
This is terrible.
So you have 2 locations.
We do. Yeah, we have one in West El Paso, one in East El Paso, which is where we are right now. And then here we also offer we have our production school, right?
Yep.
That you're spearheading,
Right.
and so inside of Hero Music.
Yeah, which is convenient. So we are located actually inside a music store. So, and it's happened where also, since we record bands as well, like where somebody breaks a string, we've had cables go out. We even had one time I was recording a band from Juarez that the dude forgot the DC plug-in or whatever, and he was able to just like open this door and go buy it. You
go to
know,
the store.
super convenient.
It is.
So we're officially, I think we've talked about it a little bit before, or maybe not.
You talk about it all the time.
Doing the one-on-one music production lessons.
Yes, we promoted that as soon as you started it.
I forget, Adrian.
Well, I don't.
Well, so now people
None
know.
of the 12.25 people have signed up.
No, they haven't.
Jesus.
You know, it's because everybody wants everything for free, man.
Welcome to El
our
Paso.
our friends always.
Yeah, and I see that, right? I mean, it just depends. Okay, fitness, for example. Pepe started working out with me. I'll never charge him $1. Like
Right.
it's.
Thank you.
And it wasn't that he expected that, right? It's just that's how I am.
Yeah.
I love Pepe. I'll do whatever he needs me to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know if it's just
Then why
that,
do you charge me?
Well, I charge you not in the dollar sense. That's a little different.
Yeah. So, so we do kind of a lot of shit between the 2 places.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's music related, which is
Ton of stuff.
amazing.
We do concerts all over town.
Yeah.
Kiddos perform all over town. They perform Rock House, downtown,
You guys,
B-17s, all the venues.
you guys go all out for that, which is
Oh, yeah.
really, really cool.
Well, we have really good families that are very supportive, and they'll drive their kids out. We have shows almost every month.
Yeah. So did you ever imagine, I know you've gone on like big tours, you've done really, really cool things musically. Did you ever imagine at any point that you would be the owner of a school?
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
It's weird how things work out, right?
I would never in my wildest dreams would have thought I would be doing this.
But you love it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the most rewarding things you can do, when you're watching the next generation
Right.
come up. And then we have kids. I mean, we've been open for about 6 years, and we've had kids that, started when they were really young, and other adults, and they're musicians. Like that you had a part in their lives in injecting that love for music,
Right.
So it's incredible to see.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I don't know if this generation though necessarily appreciates that opportunity, because I remember when we were kids, there was like 2 options in town. Curlin Salzman, remember that place?
Yeah.
And there was like, maybe you were lucky if there was somebody giving guitar lessons.
Yeah.
And then I remember, what's his name? Crosby from Rat. he gave lessons, guitar lessons. The guitar
Here?
player. Yeah.
Really?
He lived here, yeah.
He died, right?
Yeah, he lived and he spent his remainder of years here. But
wow,
I know this is going to sound a little weird, and I had this conversation with some people the other night. So it's not this is common knowledge. Like he had HIV, and this was like in the 80s, 90s, and at that time the idea of HIV was very taboo, right? It was like so like my parents knew this. And so they would tell me like, no, you can't take lessons with him because of that. I was like,
really?
Yeah. And I was like, and even me as a kid, I was kind of like, yeah, well, maybe it's best. You don't know better, right?
You don't. You really, especially that time of day, that day and age.
Yeah.
When that whole thing came about, it was like, don't look at that guy because you're going to catch it just by looking at him.
Yeah. It was like super. Now it's like, fuck, man, how amazing would that have been had I just been able to get lessons with him? That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But I never had. We come from a school of like, there's no teachers out there.
Yeah.
So the fact that the kids now have, and then the quality of teachers, like, dude, that's
have pretty amazing teachers.
We spoke about Junior. I made a joke about him, but dude, Junior's like
incredible.
Dude, I've worked with many guitar players in my career, and he is top one, maybe top two. Like
you would send me videos before I had the pleasure of meeting him. You would send me videos of him. Dude, I almost fucking cried.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great.
It's crazy.
The first time we jammed, because we were just waiting for students at the school, and this was back in the beginning where we weren't very busy, and we just started playing, and I was like, this dude plays like extremely clean, like because we were doing covers here.
Right.
And I was like, wow, man, that like he's playing these songs to a T perfectly, like no rehearsal, no anything, and I was like, wow, he's great.
It makes me. I remember growing up when we used to just jam, we would spend hours and hours and hours. The one song that we would play over and over and over because we were always trying to nail it to get it like perfect. Are you familiar with Metropolis from Dream Theater?
Yeah.
I would love to relearn it and jam that song with Junior because I just love that fucking song.
It's a good song.
But
I've never heard it.
Just of course you haven't. You know what? I need to put that band on my list.
On. Actually, no. I know I've heard Dream Theater obviously because of you and growing up. I don't dislike them.
Well, I don't
put
know.
it on your fucking list. I know that's what you're gonna do.
I am going to. Right now, Pepe, I don't know if you know, but the last episode, Adrian challenged me. We're not going to do the results yet, but he challenged me to listen to the Bee Gees, and I challenged him to listen to Metallica. But like only the first up into the Black Album.
Okay.
So, but the reason I bring that up is I'm assuming Metallica was somewhat of an inspiration for you, drum wise.
Huge, obviously, yeah.
So when you said you lived in Juarez most of your life and then you moved to California, and as Paul just mentioned, here in El Paso, it was few and far between back then to get yourself a decent mentor, right? How did you start learning? Did you learn on your own? Did you have a teacher?
There was so my parents are very religious, and we went to church, and the drummer from that church, his name was Hugo Porras. He gave me like a few lessons. I think it was like around 6 lessons, and then I was like, all right, I want to try to do this on my own, and I just started basically learning songs. And Metallica was one of the things that I one of the bands that I would learn. I would learn all their records. Like I would literally learn every single thing, and that's how I basically taught myself to play. After having taken those few lessons that got me started,
Right.
But yeah, Metallica was obviously huge.
Crazy.
So Lars Ulrich was your teacher.
Lars Ulrich and Vinnie Paul and Igor Cavalera.
What's crazy about that is like, I mean, I just think about the parallels, right? Like you've got this kid in Juarez, it's the exact same age as me, like gravitating towards Lars, learning all Lars' shit, and across the board, you've got me. Like that's all I ever did with like Metallica also. Like Kirk Hammett. Like that was everything to me. Like I'd learned every Metallica song from all the way from Kill 'Em All to the Black Album, And
then you had this kid 3 blocks down who's trying to learn all the Smashing Pumpkins songs.
Exactly. No, it's true. Well, and Red Hot Chili Peppers, right?
And Red Hot Chili Peppers.
But it's weird because it's like, obviously we're not the only ones. Like, right? There's kids everywhere. But again, and I'm not trying to use this as an opportunity to circle back, but it is an opportunity to circle back. What's cool is like now, like with your school, you're able to bring these kids together. Whereas we were stuck in our rooms and then we had to seek it. I remember we used to do it. Like I used to put out,
you still put out.
I try, Adrian. I try. I used to put out little ads, and we used to go to Danny's Music Box.
Oh yeah,
put them
Danny's.
on the thing.
I worked there.
Yeah, and we would get I would get random drummers.
There was a drummer named Jim, no?
Yeah, Jim.
What happened to that guy?
I haven't seen that guy. I want to say I heard that he passed away.
That's what I heard too.
He passed away. Yeah.
Did he? Yeah.
That guy was awesome.
Dude, the first day I met him, he was such a dick to me.
Oh, really?
The first day of work, he started fucking leaning in on me hard. Not but like 3 days later, after he saw my work ethic and after we spoke a few times, dude, we became the greatest of friends. One time I saw him, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago. Our eyes lit up and he ran toward, we hugged each other like we hadn't, you know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Super cool guy.
He was great.
Yeah, he was.
I got caught up on the leaning in hard on you. Sorry.
It's weird though, man. Like you guys, you basically dude. You want to know who my teacher was? My dad bought me a fucking VHS. I don't know how he found it. I think he went to Danny's and just said, give me that one. This fucking guy with a mullet, blonde mullet, in a wheelchair. It's a bass video. Learn how to play bass.
Who was it?
Beaver Felton was his fucking name.
Beaver Felton.
Beaver Felton.
What?
So I put the tape in and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna see how I can become a better bass player. And he does this. You grab your finger. You put your thumb right here, and you go dun 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 dun. Dude, the whole fucking video was like, this is a tuning peg, and you go like this, or you go like this. This fucking guy in a mullet with gloves that had no fingers on it in a wheelchair. Beaver Felton. There you go. Beaver Felton.
So how did you actually like pay close attention to that?
Fuck no. The minute I saw how stupid this video was, I said, I'm done.
Really?
And I just taught myself from there. My dad had offered me lessons, right? But I have this thing about like, I want to know that what comes from me comes from me. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's different for drums, but as a guitar player or bass player, they teach you this chord. So if your guitar player is doing this, you could do this, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to be like, okay, he's playing this, so my teacher said I have to do this. You know what I mean? So I just taught myself. Honestly, I wasn't even big on learning songs.
Do you think that you play very different than most bass players?
Yes, yeah.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah,
right on.
I do think like you have it's just very different from most bass players. I can't even put my finger on it.
Like a lot of bass players are taught follow the drums, or if your guitar player is doing this, the bass player is just in the back.
Right.
I never, not to say that I don't follow the drums at times, but that was just kind of.
Which chaps my ass, by the way.
Why?
Because there's times that I'm like, I need you to follow the drums, and you are off doing your own thing, and I'm like, dude,
that sounds fucking great. You're welcome.
Whatever. So you moved to LA. What was the experience like out there versus being here on the border?
Well, it was eye opening. First of all, like I growing up here, like I played in bands, and it was a cool band. We did good shows. We had a sort of a following,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I was good.
Right.
And then I moved to LA, and then I realized, oh my God, like I'm fucking terrible.
Right.
Not only am I terrible, like I'm realizing that people are so like they seem like levels that are unattainable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was really like one of those things. Like, well, this is what I wanted to do with my life, and my parents have been supportive of this decision, and I'm just gonna stick to my guns, and I would just practice. It was my life was practicing and going to school, going to school. That was.
And you went to the Musician Institute, right?
Musicians Institute, yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was great. I had great teachers. A teacher, Ray Luzier was a teacher there.
Oh, wow.
The guy that plays in Core now.
Yeah.
And he was incredible. he's as good of a teacher as he is a drummer, and as good of a dude. I had amazing teachers. I exposed myself to different styles because I grew up extremely closed-minded. I only listened to thrash. That was the only music that was good. And so I exposed myself to blues, to jazz, to funk, to all that kind of stuff. And it opened my mind, and I started playing in as many bands as I could out there. And then I went to Berkeley for 2 years after that, moved back to LA, and I was like, just set myself out to be a musician, a working musician, right? So I did everything. I taught, I played as many gigs as possible. I played in churches. I used to think that I would, as long as I was happy, as long as I was playing, I would be happy. And then the more gigging I did, the more I realized, I'm not that kind of a person. I need to play music that I like.
Right.
I remember playing a gig and I was so miserable while playing, thinking, man, I'd rather be washing dishes than doing this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I started being more selective with what I would play, but I also, I obviously had to end up getting odd jobs. So I was a bus boy. I was a janitor at Musicians Institute, which is weird because that's the college I went to. And then I'm like sweeping the sidewalks, but I was touring. Like I was touring all the time. So I didn't care. I just did these jobs while I was off tour.
But that's cool though.
Oh, I loved it. It just kept me afloat I would never be in town for more than a couple of weeks.
Right.
And they would, since I knew people there, they would hire me for the time that I needed to be there. And then I would leave and then I would come back and they would, have a job for me. So I did that. And I was playing in a band called Ancla back then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was going to mention that. I had, no offense, I had never heard of them until you had mentioned that you
Why
were
would I be offended? You didn't know about Ancla?
But I went back and I listened to it, but my first reaction was like, why have I never heard of this?
Yeah,
band?
I thought the same thing because you and I I think we were working out for the first time, and you had mentioned it to me. And as soon as you left, I listened to them, and you turned me on to another band, but I forgot who it was. But yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, fuck, man, why didn't I know
great.
about this?
Yeah, really. From what I've heard, it's really good, man.
Yeah, it's a bummer that it kind of fizzled out. We're still friends. Hopefully, we do something in the future. But I really enjoyed my time with them, and that was the first heavy touring. Serious touring experience I got, and it was brutal.
Oh wow,
it was really brutal. It was 5 of us in a van with no trailer, all the gear on the van. Mm-hmm. We would all sleep sitting up. Like that was, for months and months and months. It was rough.
What we used to do? Remember what we used to do? We would go to like a Denny's or something, and one of us would order a drink, and we would take turns sleeping in the booth.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But those are like experiences though, like as tough as they are, I'm sure like you look back now and you see it as like it was a valuable experience.
Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you had said that you were miserable playing with certain bands, was it the style of music that made it like miserable for you, or was it the fact that like not only is it the style of music, but you're also on tour, like having to play?
Well, no, that band that I was miserable that I mentioned that I was miserable with wasn't a touring thing.
Oh, okay.
It was like
just around the LA.
We would do local shows and stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
And I was like, I can't do this. Like
touring is rough though, man. Like people, like I was having this conversation with my daughter. I was like, she was like, what's rough about it? And I said, well, the fact that out of a 24-hour period, you're spending 23 hours waiting around to perform for 30 minutes.
Yep.
Like, it sounds like a blast, but when you're making no money, and you're in a city that you have no idea where you are. Yeah. I mean, nowadays it might be better because you have Uber.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I always tell my kid that when you got $4 between you and your best friend for a week.
Yeah.
And we had to make that fucker stretch.
We used to, so I would buy the drink and he would buy the burger or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then we would split the burger and then share the drink. I mean,
that's
and we would always eat Jumbo Jacks. That was like our thing.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And our other band members they're all mama's boys and they had fucking hundreds of dollars in their pockets, and Paul and I had $5 between the two of us.
Wow.
For a week.
Be like, I'll have a Jumbo Jack, and then they would come next in line. I'll take a number 6 and a number 7.
And then they wouldn't even finish their food, and like a bunch of assholes, they throw it away in front of us.
Like Chevy Chase and Three Amigos?
Yeah. Dude, the best part about that, I love that you mentioned that. Highly underrated comedy. He fucking throws the water.
And it spills out.
But he takes out the
chapstick.
and he goes, lip balm?
Yeah, dude. We used to do also where we would go to Denny's and we would wait for people to leave and we would eat their leftovers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
kind of gross, but you got
Dude,
that is pretty gross.
when you're starving, dude, and you have like 7 days left until you go home.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do.
So speaking of tour, like what is the tour? And God, this I hate asking these questions because I'm sure you get asked a million times. But what was like your favorite tour ever?
Such a cliche, Paul.
I know. Sorry.
I think my favorite. So we did a lot of ones that are amazing. I like. There's favorites for different reasons, right?
Right.
My favorite, just in terms of like, I can't believe we're doing this, was Megadeth. We did the 25th anniversary of Countdown to Extinction.
Awesome.
And it was just us and Megadeth for a month.
What band were you
with
in at
Kyng?
this time?
This was with Kyng.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe we were doing that. And they were awesome. They were all awesome dudes. We had a blast. Even David Mustaine, who people say is an asshole, he was incredibly nice to us.
Right.
And then with Ankla, I did Ozfest. And that was another one that I was like, that was the last touring Ozfest, which was the Free Fest in 2007.
Okay.
And that one was, again, for a different reason. I remember going to see an Ozfest, I can't remember what year, and thinking, oh, it sucks, Ozzy's so old, I'll never be able to do this. Like, I would never be able to perform in Ozfest. And then to find myself performing on Ozfest, I was like, man, this is it. Like, I felt on top of the world. But playing wise, I think my favorite tour was our first big tour. That was like a turning point for Kyng, because we were scheduled to do some shows with Clutch and Corrosion of Conformity on the Northeast starting December 26th. So we got routed touring by ourselves up to Pennsylvania, and we had a terrible time. Like, it was miserable. Like,
really?
we were playing to nobody. Wow. Our last show was, I think, December 23rd. And I can't remember the name of the town, but in Pennsylvania. We literally, it was a radio Christmas party, and the only person there was the radio dude.
Oh wow,
that was it. You know?
Yeah.
And then we spent Christmas with some friends in New Jersey. Our friends Jose Mangan and his family from SiriusXM, and they had us for Christmas and stuff. And then the next day we meet Clutch in Boston. And I remember finishing the first song, and then like it was a sold out show, hearing like the crowd roar, and I got really emotional, because I was like, it felt like that whole trek up there, and not spending Christmas with family and stuff. It felt like it was worth it,
Right.
And so that was only 4 or 5 shows were incredible to me. And we became really good friends with Clutch and really good friends with Corrosion of Conformity.
Right.
And that meant a lot. And that's been a thing throughout our career. Like I stay in touch with them and stuff. So,
right.
And we've toured with them again several times. So
that's amazing, man.
So you went from Ankla was your first big band, right?
Yeah, big band.
In the sense of
it was my first real touring band. Yeah.
And then from there the band fizzled out, and then you started Kyng right after that.
So Tony Castañeda, who played bass in Ankla, and I started Kyng, and he was in a band with Eddie, who's the singer and guitar player of Kyng. And he had told me about it. And he's like, we got to do a band with this guy, And so the three of us, we met in LA, and we wrote the first song like the first day, and it was like, oh, this is incredible. This is exactly what we want to do,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Kyng happened. Tony and I talked about it, and then he told Eddie about it, and then we just started out.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm a backstory guy. You know what I mean? I love to know.
Yeah, and Tony and Eddie had a band called Ounce of Self that is very Kyng-like, We actually play some of the songs that Eddie wrote for Ounce of Self. We play them and Kyng. So that Eddie and Tony wrote. So yeah, I mean, we kind of like fit each other's styles really well. You know?
So then you joined Kyng, and that's been your mainstay for the longest time, right? And then Strife came when? When did Strife come into the play?
So I met Andrew from Strife through Icaro, who was a singer of Ancla. And ironically, they had the old drummer of Ancla in Strife, played in Strife, and then he quit, and then they asked me to play, you know, to do some shows, and I've just been playing on and off with them for, I think it's been like 14 years.
14 years?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't know it was that long.
And
it's been a long time. I didn't know it was that long either until recently. I was like, man, I've been playing with Strife for a long time.
And it's really an interesting intersection where, because you had mentioned earlier, I heard you say Lars, Vinnie Paul, and Igor.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't Igor do an album with Strife?
He did.
Like where he recorded the drums?
He did. I know they're very good friends with all those guys. And I don't know if he did one or two.
Oh, okay.
Strife
just
albums.
A really cool like intersection. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
oh, I'm a huge Igor fan. So yeah, that was awesome. And we've done shows where he's been there and he's sat in and played drums with Strife. Wow. Yeah, so it's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I love about Pepe is that most musicians, including just most musicians will, like, if you're going to meet them, like, before you even shake their hand, like, they're already talking about all their accolades and, like, experiences. Pepe, like...
doesn't ever talk about it?
Yeah, like, we've known each other now for what? A year and a half, 2 years? Something
about
like
2
that?
years?
Yeah. And it's like, we'll be eating lunch, and all of a sudden, like, did I ever tell you about this one time? And it's like the coolest fucking story. And I'm like, no, you didn't. So, like, I love the fact that you're just so humble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, thank you. It's going to make me not humble.
I know. No, but I mean, you know what I mean?
Those comments coming, Paul.
You got all these great stories, man, and it's just like, what the you've been sitting on this for this whole time?
What I love about that is you guys will finish lunch, you'll tell him the amazing story, and 10 minutes later I get a phone call. Dude, guess what fucking Pepe just told me? Yeah, Adrian and I are very old school. We literally talk on the phone for like 2 hours every day.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll call me and be like, dude, real quick, 5 minutes. I'm like, what's up? And 45 minutes later, that 5-minute conversation.
But no, I mean, I think it's really cool that, you know, there's not a lot of drummers out there that are obviously from like the El Paso area, but like to know that you're from Juarez and that you had all these cool experiences.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize the work, the hard work it takes to like not be a musician who was born in LA, that like, you know what I mean? Like LA musicians are just a different breed. Like you said earlier, you went and you felt like you sucked. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when we used to play LA, it was like, not a diss at bands, but when we used to play here, we always felt we were like cream of the crop. We felt like special. And then we would go to play LA and it was like, dude, we fucking suck. But to be able to say that you went from Juarez to LA back to El Paso and had the success that you've had, I mean, it's a pretty cool story.
It is.
Well, thank you, man. I mean, it's I had a great support system, you know?
Yeah.
I know amazing musicians that are from the area that didn't have it, you know?
Right.
And they just, you know, they're great. They're amazing. They're incredible, you know? And the world will never know. They didn't have the support system, you know?
Right.
Life happened.
Dude, I tell people that all the fucking time. There's nothing bigger, better than a fucking support system. Who you have behind you is going to help push you.
It's fundamental for everything.
I say it all the time, dude.
So do you credit that support system to being your family?
Yeah. My parents were incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
Incredibly.
My mom...
no.
I remember Terry Marquez, who now manages Pissing Razors, right? I think she manages them.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was like 15 years old, and she comes to like talk to my mom and like asks her for permission to go on tour for I don't know how long. And my mom was just like, yeah. Like, you didn't have to ask me.
My dad didn't even know I was gone. You know what I'm saying? My dad, like, he bought me a bass to basically
and that video
and Beaver Felton to basically shut me up when it came time to I'm gonna be a rock star, Dad. Not with my help, you aren't.
You know, you should have a what do they call it? Where you have a different persona, and it should be your name should be Beaver Felton.
Beaver Felton,
dude. Like we'll put out a project and bass by Beaver Felton. Sorry, that's such a good name.
I'm 100% behind this.
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. We're gonna use this beautiful couch right here. That's where I want to sit.
That's your promo shot. Yes.
So you did all these really cool things. You went on tour a lot. I know you went across. What do you call it? Abroad.
Yeah.
Across
the ocean.
What was the coolest town that you played in? Like that stands out, like in terms of just like, wow, I can't believe I'm playing.
Japan.
Really?
Yeah. Tokyo with Strife.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. That was, those were, I mean, that's memorable just because it's, Japan.
What were the crowds like there?
Amazing.
Really?
Yeah. Great.
I've always heard that the U.S., for whatever reason, I'm not going to say has shunned or turned its back on metal or rock in general, but I've always heard that overseas, Europe, Tokyo, places like that just fucking worship.
Well, where the best crowd, definitely South America.
Really?
South America is Argentina.
Oh, okay.
Incredible. Chile, incredible.
Because they've always been very big metal supporters, especially metal. Like those are like, I guess they're all about it. Like, and then they come out in like massive quantities. Like I think some of like the quote unquote reunion Pantera shows like were out there, right? And I was looking at those.
Oh yeah, those videos are incredible. Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
Dude, the U.S. needs to get its head out its ass, dude. I mean, I think to me it's a big hindrance to all metal musicians or heavy metal musicians, rock musicians that this dude, they don't even break top 20 anymore, top fucking 10. They're rock musicians aren't nominated for shit.
But a lot of metal has become so cheesy.
Yeah, I'll give you that,
dude.
What I mean? Right. I feel like people are over that here, and people are kind of still into that in other countries.
I agree.
Like what band?
Like we've become a parody of ourselves.
Like what bands would you? Because the bands I'm thinking about, I don't
want to mention bands specifically, but I just think like the whole like even the fan, like the being a fan of metal, and like you're always decked out in metal. Like I don't know, like we just look. I feel like we've looked the same for.
Are you talking about
40 years?
Leather jackets and white tennis shoes?
No, not even that. Not even that. I don't know. I just feel like there's a cheese element to metal now that is not awesome, and that younger generations. Listen, I'm that way. You know what I mean? But younger generations look at it and be like, "Oh, this is kind of cheesy." Like I'm going to listen to hip hop.
Dude, I cannot agree more. This is the argument that you and I have all the time. It's like we talk about the whole new metal thing, and I tell you that I hate that there's like, I know you're a new metal guy, but I just feel like, okay, when I think of the days of, we mentioned Metallica, Pantera, Megadeth, Slayer, Sepultura, like, I don't know, I guess because growing up, and that's what kind of got me started in music, I feel like the word you said is perfect, that there's a lot of like parodies of that music now. It's not even like the first generation of that parody. It's like there was a parody of it, and then now there's like more parodies of it.
Who would you compare to Metallica this day and age?
Well, I mean, not necessarily. I'm sure I could think of some if I had time to sit down. But
because you're saying parody of basically the 80s.
No, I think more of a parody of like, what spawned a lot of that, dude, is like the whole Deftones Korn movement spawned a whole lot of that. And I feel like, so kind of going back to what you were saying about like, we need to wake up in the US and stuff. I feel that we are I feel like that true metal music is starting to kind of make a comeback. It's less of a parody, so to speak, because they're like, I don't know. It's almost like it's making a resurgence in like a very authentic way.
Well, I hope so.
I agree with that.
I'm not on social media, so I don't know what's happening, and maybe the world around me is evolving, and I don't know it.
Yeah,
but I hope you're right.
When I listen to liquid metal, some of the new bands that are coming out,
right,
they're incredible, and they don't have that. Like I feel like you're right. Like there is going to be a resurgence of heavy music because we're losing that. I guess the cliche topics like the Satan and the like
right
like it's I think those topics are more general and more specific, and the music sounds
authentic.
Sounds authentic. Yeah. It doesn't sound cookie cutter.
Right.
We became cookie cutter. I shouldn't say parody.
Right.
We became cookie cutter, and I think that's what
that'll give
and
you.
generic.
Yeah.
And that's I think what happened to metal.
So let me ask you a question, since Paul's been asking all the questions, because I can never get a word in edgewise.
Doesn't shut up, right?
Well, dude,
do it while he's sipping on his coffee.
So you're a metal lover. You just said
I am.
You said a while back you just got lost in thrash, and that's all you listened to. But you started to, because of your schooling, you started to venture out to jazz and whatnot. So outside of the realm of metal, right? Rock metal, heavy metal, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there another genre that you like? And look, let me say, don't be shy.
I'll answer right now. 80s pop.
So like Depeche Mode,
love it.
The Cure.
Love that stuff.
That's a great answer. Because I was going to say, look, man, if you want to listen to Machine Gun Kelly, do you, boo? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Shout out to Stevie. If that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, but I'm glad you just came out and said 80s pop, because that, to me, I fucking could not agree with you more.
That was a dig at our exiled podcast.
Our sister podcasters.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So
our brother podcasters, sister podcasters, however we used to refer to bands as our sister band.
Our sister band, yeah. So there was this band, Pepe, that you showed me when we were in LA driving, and you showed me, and I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time, and it just finally came to my mind. You showed me a band that had a female singer.
Royal Thunder.
Is that what they were called?
Yeah, dude, they're awesome, man. I love that band.
Good example of what I'm saying about like a resurgence where it doesn't sound like
this is a metal band. I thought we were still on the 80s topic.
No, sorry. I thought about it right now because they were very like
I don't know. I mean, they're not metal. They're like, I guess they would be considered like stoner, or
like Black Sabbath,
or doom metal. Or, I guess stoner metal. Not
yeah,
doom, stoner.
with the female vocalist.
Oh, awesome.
She's incredible. I would love to tour with them.
What are they called again?
Royal Thunder.
I need to, yeah, because
check them
ever
out.
Since you showed it to me, I was like, what's that? But I always forget.
I can't stop listening to it. I've been listening to them for years. Like, I don't get sick of their songs.
Really?
Like, yeah, her voice is incredible. Like,
that's a good example, though. Like, I remember when I heard them, my first thought was it was kind of like Black Sabbath-ish, but it wasn't like they were trying to be Black Sabbath. Like, you could tell it was like genuine, like just they write the music and it is what it is. It's not like this, which I felt like, especially in the 2000s, a lot of bands, there was this movement where a lot of bands wanted to sound like each other or have that same sound instead of thinking outside the box.
To me, that's culture, period, right? I mean, you look at the 80s and everyone wanted to be the next Metallica. You look at the 90s, they all wanted to be the next Core. And you look at the fucking mid-2000s, they all wanted to be the next Used. You know what I mean?
It's true.
That's just what's going to happen.
That was random.
What, the Used? The Used are fucking amazing.
Well, they were in their back in the day.
Sorry.
They were all right.
Let me ask you a question, Pepe. And because it's crazy that our exiled boys mentioned it. And you, my friend, there's more people than you think, okay? Stevie says he likes country music.
Yeah.
So up yours.
I don't like country.
Do you like country at all?
I don't.
Not at all. Okay, so outside of 80s.
I'm sure there's a song or two, that I'll listen and be like, oh, that's cool. But in general, I don't like country.
At least you said there's a song or two. So outside of 80s, what other genres are there that you like?
Well, wait. What what's your favorite 80s pop band?
I guess The Cure.
Yes.
We definitely just became best friends.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Depeche Mode I like a lot. Tears for Fears.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
What else?
Who's the one that I love? The song comes out in Napoleon Dynamite. When in Rome.
Oh yeah.
Dude, those guys are amazing.
I don't know.
No, it's,
I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words.
Oh, that sounds terrible, Paul. You like that?
That's cool. I didn't know that about you. Again, I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, so aside from 80s and metal, what else?
Aside from 80s and metal, I mean, that's generally what I'll listen to. You know, I mean, I like rock en español.
Right.
Listen to bands like Fobia, La Cuca, La Lupita, like stuff from the 90s that I grew up with.
Right. Stuff that I'm barely learning about because of my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, like
Caifanes.
I love, I don't know what you want to call it, Latin music, Mexican music. I don't know, Mexican rock. Like, dude, I went my whole life up until the last 8 years, never even giving that music the time of day. And it's like one of the biggest, like what the fuck was I thinking? Like, it's amazing. There's such good music.
Soda Stereo, have you heard of them?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah,
for sure. From Argentina.
Café Tacuba.
I played with them.
Yeah, that's right. You did, huh? Yeah. With Puya too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so the guitar player of Puya was the dude from Ancla.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's his. Ancla was like his side project.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I remember that when you lucky asshole. But like the Café Tacuba, which I had no idea. I say you're lucky because like those dudes are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Although I've already seen them.
Those guys are very nice. The lead singer of Puya was kind of a dick.
Was he?
Yeah.
But I don't know him.
But then again, I mean, he had just finished playing. People were trying to swarm him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he kind of like brushed us off, and we're like, whatever.
So speaking of that, so you've met a lot of big musicians. You've played with them. I know, like, which I want to talk a little bit about right now. Like you played Dime Bash, for example. But like, who's the musician that you have not met that you would just like I don't like to fanboy over anybody, but you know, there's always that handful of people like, dude, if I met him, I don't know what I would say. Is there anybody that you could think of that if you met, you'd be like, you'd actually like kind of like, fuck.
That I haven't met?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I've met like
everybody.
I've been lucky enough to meet everybody, and I've definitely had I don't know what to say moments with them, you know. So to think somebody that I didn't, I can't think of anybody that I haven't met that I really
want to meet. Yeah, I think of for me, I know it's not music, but like Gordon Ramsay, dude.
What?
I want to meet Gordon Ramsay so bad. I want him to like curse at me.
Mine is Sade, 100%.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, I would die to meet her.
What would you say to Sade?
I have no fucking idea. I love you. You're amazing.
What if you said like you said something to her and she was like, "That's not even how you say my name. Get the fuck out of my face."
I'd probably cry, but still love it.
Because that is how you say her name. I always ask you this all the time.
Yeah,
I feel like you have it wrong. I feel like it's supposed to be Sadie.
Oh God,
just kidding.
Her full name is Helen Sade Adieu.
So, okay. So then, on that note, who was somebody that you met that you felt like that, like?
James Hetfield, when we met him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was and Lars, we met both of them at separate times, but we played that Orion Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And we got introduced to them, and that was actually with Lars. It was kind of interesting because we got to Atlantic City where that festival was, and we had heard that there was like a hangout at one of the casinos.
Mm-hmm.
So we parked somewhere, and then we walked into this casino, and then there was this long hallway. There was nobody in this hallway except for Lars Ulrich walking towards us,
right,
and us walking towards him, and you could tell that he was doing everything in his power to not make eye contact.
Right,
you know?
right.
I think I was even wearing a Metallica shirt, so he was probably like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
You know, probably had to take a shit, and here we are.
Yeah.
He's going to take his time. And I wasn't going to say anything, but right when he passed us, I couldn't not say it. So I was like, hey, don't mean to bother you. Sorry to bother you, but we're playing the festival tomorrow, and we want to say thank you for having us.
Oh, wow.
And then his demeanor changed, and he was like, oh, like, what band are you guys? And then we told him, like, oh, we're Kyng. He was like, oh, and he told us about a video he saw, that he really liked it. Wow. Super nice guy. So that was one of those moments where I was like, I don't really know what to say.
Right.
Thankfully, it kind of worked out. And then we got interrupted by Chris Jericho, which was also bizarre.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Wow, that's crazy.
that's a fun story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then James Hetfield, we got introduced to, like, we were sound checking, and his assistant came up to us and said, "Hey, James wants to meet you guys." So we walked over to him, and again, nicest dude. He introduced the band to the crowd and everything. So I think those two were big. Vinnie Paul was huge for me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know, and I got to tour with him several times. But that was Pantera. Like, I get those dudes, I get starstruck from, like, when I would see them. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So to meet him and then later tour with him, it was super surreal.
You toured with him when he was in...
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say Damage Plan. He was in that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, my buddy, the first time I met him, my buddy Marcus, who worked for them, he now plays in Mudvayne, which is crazy. But he was like, he knew I was a huge fan. He's like, "Hey, Pepe, come over here. Like, let me introduce." And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Vinny, nice to meet you." He's like, "Rock and roll," and walked away.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that was the best.
And then I guess that connects perfectly to what I was going to ask you about. You know, you got to play drums for Dime Bash, which is like, it's crazy from like looking up to that dude, having that experience, going on tour with them, obviously, to playing with all these dudes during Dime Bash. So Dime Bash was, I think, was it Jose that put Dime Bash together?
No, Rita Haney does it. Yeah.
So she's Dimebag's
widow. Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, how did that unfold?
How did we
Yeah, well, how did you? I mean, I know like you got to play a couple of Pantera songs, right? Like, I mean,
so we've become good friends with Rita. She's been super awesome to us, and since we've met, she's asked us to do Dime Bash every year. Hopefully, if it happens, she continues to invite us. But let me think. I can't remember. I think it started when one of the Dime Bashes, I think Jose did recommend us to her, and I think she asked us to open Dime Bash.
Okay.
And then we got to do like one or two covers, but all of us separately.
Right.
And from then on, like, you know, she knows we're huge fans, and then we've been at her house in Texas, and she's, you know, taken us into the vault where she has all the guitars and stuff, and she's just been really nice, and that's kind of how the friendship kind of developed, and that's kind of how we started doing Dime Bash.
That's awesome. I mean, that must have been a pretty cool experience for you.
Oh, incredible! I think we've done it three times, I think. Damn. And it's one of my favorite events. Like, there's so much fun, and there's a ton of musicians from a ton of bands, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Wow. And, you know, we've spoken on this show how the same as you, Pepe, like Pantera to me was, I remember I was all about Metallica and Megadeth until I heard Pantera.
Yeah, same.
You know, then
same.
I was just like, what the fuck is this? You know, that was just very, like, for my musical career, that was very life-changing for me.
Yeah, me too. But
for you, it was like with Vinnie Paul, right? Like, I mean, obviously the whole band, but like as a drummer, it was like Vinnie was just... It was like the way I explain, like the way I think of Pantera is like you had Metallica, you had Megadeth, you had Slayer, but then these dudes came out and it was like all of that like on steroids. Like
it sounded humongous.
Right.
It sounded so much bigger than everything else.
Right.
You know what I love, what brought me to Pantera, you know, I wasn't a huge metal fan growing up, right? I mean, I did like bands here and there, but like with the Metallica, the Megadeths, all that, it was like a lot, like you say, thrash, right? A lot of that, right? Where your head just kind of, when I heard Pantera...
Well, you got to explain because the listeners can't see.
Oh, yeah.
Head.
When you're, you know, it's like a digga, and your head's moving real fast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The first time I heard Pantera, it was that groove. Dun, dun, it makes, you know what I mean?
The breakdown.
The breakdown. That's when I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, they were awesome, man.
Yeah. That's what drew me to Pantera.
So I know you're not, since you're not a metal kid, you never were. I think like you didn't really become metal kid till you and I started showing you stuff.
No, I mean, growing up, I had loved, well, you know, like I told you on our last episode, the Black Album I started listening to Metallica.
Which is so strange.
Started listening to Pantera.
Mm-hmm.
There was a phase in the 7th grade where all I wanted to listen to was Cannibal Corpse.
Really?
Yeah.
You have never told me that.
Eaten Back to Life is like
What?
fucking amazing album to me.
What? I never had.
Yeah.
What the hell, dude? I
Yeah.
never knew that about you.
I
thought
don't
that.
walk around talking about myself.
You're just blowing Paul's mind with ukuleles and Cannibal Corpse.
Exactly, dude. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the Deftones pushed me further into heavier music. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are going to roll their eyes and be like, "Oh, the Deftones are not heavy. Don't compare them to."
That's the reason Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Deftones are awesome.
Thank you. They are. But in terms of
Sorry, Paul.
in terms of the music getting heavier, yeah, it was right around the time you and I met.
Oh, okay. Because I remember I would show you stuff and you'd be like, turn that shit off, and I'd be like, come on, dude. But then you got me into like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Smashing Pumpkins,
Far, Hum, You're Welcome.
Yeah. So
speaking of, real quick, while we're on the topic, you and I, because I'm curious to get Pepe's take on this. I want him to be a part of it. We brought up the new segment, Let It Riff.
oh, that's right.
Let's do that real quick.
All right.
So, just to recap on our last episode, everybody, we're going to do a small segment called Let It Riff, which is just a single riff that madly inspires us, right? One of the coolest riffs in our opinion. So, Paul, go. Let it riff.
Real quick, let's give Pepe some context. So last time he brought it up, my riff was Shedding Skin from Pantera.
Okay.
That's, to me, one of my favorite riffs of all time.
My riff was from the band called Refused, New Noise.
Okay.
And I like the video that Dave from Exile made. Yeah. So based on that, you know what? You go first.
Okay.
I hadn't really thought about it. I have like 20 of them.
Okay, one of my favorite riffs of all fucking time, and to me it's one of the best breakdowns, in my opinion, right? And very underrated. So there's a band, obviously our favorite band on earth, called Hum. And one of their songs, Stars. In the middle of Stars, the bridge, that breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That riff is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So for me, Hum, Stars, the bridge.
I'm going to go old school, and I'm going to say the main riff for Creeping Death from Metallica. And I think about that because I remember when I was a kid and I heard that for the first time, I was like, that is the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life. And so, yeah, I'm going to start and then gradually make my way up to the more modern stuff. But
I was going to say, awesome. I can't touch too much on that one yet because that's my challenge. So I want to save it. So
remember that, Creeping Death.
Yeah, I can't talk about it. I don't want to let you know where I'm at.
It's on the Ride the Lightning album, I believe, right?
Pepe, Let It Riff. What's your favorite riff off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say Whose Fist Is This Anyway from Prong.
Yeah, dude,
the
right?
last riff, the
yes, and it just like fades out, right?
So heavy.
Yeah, dude, Prong. That's another band that, you mentioned. It's funny because you mentioned a lot of the bands that like I was just in love with. Corrosion of Conformity, Prong.
Corrosion of Conformity has the last riff of In the Arms of God is also one of those.
Yeah, dude, those dudes. You've never really listened to Corrosion, have you?
Oh my God.
I have, but not like whole albums. Yeah.
And then, Corrosion of Conformity got together with some of the guys from Pantera. They did Down.
Down.
Right?
Oh, one of my favorite bands.
Such a good...
that band I know of.
Yeah.
Love Down.
So Let It Riff is going to be another segment we do on a regular basis.
Nice. So you do one riff every week?
Yeah. So... But that dude, Prong, that just brings up like a whole... Every time I hear Prong, I'm like flooded with like nostalgia, like because I was so obsessed with like that guitar tone that they had. It was just different. Them and you know who else? Crowbar.
Yeah.
Like, dude, those dudes, like the tone that they got at that time to me was like, oh
enormous.
My God.
It was like giants were playing.
Yeah, dude, exactly. You know Crowbar too, right?
Yeah.
So, we talk a lot about heavy music.
Mm-hmm.
What's a band that's out right now that's heavy that like is not like doing reunions from the 90s like that exists now? Can you think of any bands now that you like that are like brutally heavy?
Brutally heavy.
Or heavy?
Man, there's this band that I heard on Liquid Metal I think they're called Orbit Culture.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
And they're really heavy. The one song I don't know how good they are, but the one song I heard is
they're
fucking awesome.
They are awesome.
Is this the one that when you and I Pepe were crossing?
Maybe.
And you were like, dude, listen to this, but it was like already the song was over.
Yeah, maybe. I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I need to get. What's it called?
Orbit Culture, I think.
Orbit Culture. I need to check them out. What about you?
Oh, dude, there's a band right now. I was gonna save them for the chat eventually, but fuck it, since you're bringing it up, there's this band that I stumbled upon the other day called Dealer. Oh my god, dude, they're fucking heavy, brutal. Fucking, I can't stop listening to them right now.
Really?
Yeah, Dealer.
And you were going to use them for the chat?
Yeah, but you brought it up. So not today's chat.
Oh,
today's
okay.
chat I have another band, but I had them on my list. But since you brought it up, I sent you that video.
Oh, I think I remember now.
Yeah.
For me, it's been actually getting into them because of my brother. I think I always forget how it's pronounced. Is it Infinite Annihilator?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those do, or Infinite. I always get it confused. Anyways, dude, they have this one song. It's so massively heavy, and then like there's this pause that happens between the heaviness where it sounds he's screaming so hard where it sounds like he's like choking. It's just something about that.
See, I tried listening to that band, like, because you had brought it up one time, or Eric brought it up. I don't remember, but that's a little too far fetched for me. My heavy has to have groove in it, which is, again, why I love Pantera. I don't like the, you know what I mean? Like, that just isn't.
You don't like Awesome?
Yeah, I guess not.
Exactly.
I guess not.
Well, that's kind of going off of what we were talking about earlier. I feel like part of this movement that, like, I personally dislike in like a lot of like the newer metal, and maybe Pepe, you could agree, is even the production. Like, where I feel like a lot of drums nowadays, they're so overproduced. It sounds like a machine rather than like an authentic like drummer in a room. I don't know. For me, I mean, not to say I don't like the way it sounds, it does, but I feel like it's overly done. I don't know if that plays a part in what like you're thinking in terms of like cookie cutter.
I mean, maybe. That being said, Kyng, we've always tried to sound natural, and like not use triggers, but we get lost in the mix. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's so hard to compete with that. So it's hard for me to criticize it because it does sound so much bigger. It sounds, like it sounds perfect,
Right.
So, I mean, I guess it does lend itself to a lot of bands sounding the same, which kind of sucks,
Right.
But everyone's trying to look for that edge, for that edge, what's going to set me up. Ironically, they're trying to set themselves apart, but in a sense, you're kind of just trying to catch up. Like, how do I make myself audibly as good as everything I'm listening to? Obviously, you're going to want to, add as many effects and triggers as possible, because if not, you're not going to sound current,
Exactly. Which is one thing I can appreciate. So, like, we've been recording drums for one of your projects, and
the ugly,
yeah. And so, what I love is that I feel like, so you heard, the drums raw, the way I recorded them, and it was like you like the way they sound, which is really cool because when I listen to them, they have a very like old school Dave Lombardo vibe to them. At least that's the feeling I get, which I love because it's not that triggered, where the snare sounds like, I don't know, it's just this certain tone. So like, I really appreciate the fact that like a lot of drummers would have been like, no, man, we need to make it less real sounding, so to speak.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So but I think that's, again, going back to the authentic thing, is that I think that's what adds into making rock nowadays more authentic, is going back to those original.
I mean, I think I don't know if I talked with you about it, but like that band Power Trip.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
Like they sound like classic albums, but they're, I mean, whatever their process is, it still competes, like their guitars sound huge, their drums sound huge, but nothing sounds really triggered or.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
I think they I mean, unfortunately they're no longer a band, but I think they kind of broke that mold of everything sounding the same.
Right.
They sound like a classic metal band, but
still
massive, you know?
Yeah, I could totally see that. That's awesome. What were you gonna say?
No, nothing.
You gave me a look like shut the fuck up.
Pepe was talking. No, you.
I know, but you were giving me that look.
Tell Pepe to shut the fuck
up. So I know you have shows coming up with both Strife and Kyng, right?
Yeah.
Any big shows around the corner that you can talk about?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're doing with Strife Furnace Fest, but that's not till September.
Oh, okay. Oh, is it that? I was thinking it was in May for some reason.
Which I'm really stoked about. And with Kyng, is the only thing I know so far.
Wow. But that's a big festival
yeah,
too.
Yeah. Also in September.
That's awesome. You know, that Furnace Fest, I didn't really know about that festival, but I follow Head Automatica, which is a band that we've never really spoken about. It's Daryl Palumbo, right? From Glassjaw. Mm-hmm. He does, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it one of the dudes from Gorillaz that worked with him? I know he did work on one of the albums. He did some of the drum beats.
Did he?
But I don't know if he's like a staple or like a permanent.
What? There's technically only two guys who write the music for Gorillaz: Damon Albarn and.
Yeah, I don't even know which one is which. But
well, Damon Albarn is the lead singer. He was also in that band Blur in the 90s.
It's that guy.
Oh, okay.
That guy did something with the first Head Automatica album.
Huh.
Which, have you ever heard Head Automatica?
I haven't. You told me about him.
Yeah, it's very. I don't know. How would you describe it?
It's dancey.
Poppy. It's really weird because
it's something you wouldn't expect from Daryl from Glassjaw.
Okay.
So I don't know if you are familiar with Glassjaw. Like they're kind of like At the Drive-In with a hardcore-esque feel to it. Yeah, I know At the Drive-In is like one of their biggest influences.
Yeah, they've always been very vocal about that.
And but the singer, he has Crohn's disease.
Oh shit!
And so playing the heavy shit, like I guess it makes his Crohn's come out. So he created Head Automatica as like a mellow project to get his creative side out without having to be so heavy or whatever. So, but Head Automatica hasn't done anything in like well over a decade. And the reason I'm bringing them up is they're actually going to be like playing. Fest. Yeah, they're going to play that festival.
Head Automatica is?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's how I found out about Furnace Fest. And then all of a sudden... So I clicked on it, whatever, and then I saw Strife, and I was like, oh shit, I was like, fucking Pepe's gonna play this. I'm gonna fucking be his drum tech again.
Let's do it.
Speaking of Daryl and Head Automatica, he, a few years ago, came out with this project called Color Film. Dude, fucking ridiculous. They put out one album. You mentioned you like 80s pop, Depeche Mode, Cure type stuff. Dude, this album is fucking straight from the 80s. With Daryl on it.
Really?
It's fucking ridiculous.
He has a very his voice is an acquired taste for sure. It's you remember like old school Faith No More, like first album, like his voice is very reminiscent of Mike Patton.
Okay.
From like the very first Faith No More album.
And I will forever shout out fucking Rudy, man, for changing my life with Glassjaw.
Yeah, because he's the one that showed him to us.
Yeah, thank you, Rudy.
Back in the day. He was one of our he plays in a band now. What's the name of
Bone and Earth or of Earth and Bone?
Yeah. So he was our singer for a minute. But it's funny because he's in that band now, and it's the other member of that band is another one of our singers.
And their drummer is the drummer of my very, very first band ever.
That's so weird.
When I was 14. Yeah.
No.
But anyway, so you have those dates coming up, which is pretty cool. Who do you know who else is on that?
I don't.
I know it's a big festival. I just don't know who's on it.
It's huge. I don't know I don't know any of I don't think anything's maybe I can't talk about it yet.
Yeah. Well, if you need
I don't think it's been announced.
If you need me to bleep it out, let me know.
Maybe.
So when you play with Strife though, like it looks to me like when I think about your projects, like Kyng is very technical. Not to say the Strife isn't, but Kyng is it's your original like playing. It's very technical. It's like I look at it and I get tired just watching you. When I think of Strife looks exhausting as well. but it also just seems like it's just so much fun. I mean, is it fun for you to play that stuff?
I love it.
Right?
Yeah, Strife is, but it is. It's not super easy.
Right.
Strife has their drummer was very unorthodox,
right?
You know,
right.
so his parts are strange, and they're like it was fun to learn them and to work them out, and some stuff I still don't know exactly. I'm trying to replicate it.
Oh, really?
You know, but he was great. So yeah, some of the parts are not something that I would have played. So it makes it entertaining, you know, because you're playing something that's different from what you would have done. And yeah, it's exhausting for sure.
It's so does Strife have like a pretty extensive catalog?
They do, yeah.
So
and they've been around since the 90s.
How does that work? You just kind of know the set and you learn it, or have you just like try to learn all of the songs?
No, I mean, like every once in a while they'll be like, oh, we're gonna add this song or these songs, you know, and so I'll learn the extra songs. So throughout the years, I've learned a lot of their stuff, but definitely not all of it. I'm not familiar with all of it, you know.
Wow. And then they play pretty short sets. Normally,
generally,
huh?
Yeah. It's like, I think the most we've played is 45 minutes, and that's a long set.
Which is awesome, though, because like when we used to play, I used to tell you guys, like, I don't want to play more than 30, 45 minutes. I feel like Strife is a perfect example of a band that the set goes by so quick that you're like, you want more. So like, you're going to want to go see it, as opposed to like, I mean, granted, there's artists that can play 3-hour sets and you know, you're just like happy to just be there and see it. But I love that. I love that where a band can play a short set and just, instead of being like, man, they're still playing, it's more of a like, God, when I get to see them play again. You know?
I hate going to shows that run too long.
Right. But then there's some bands like, well, you and I, we saw Cavalera Conspiracy.
Oh yeah,
and they played. Like,
that was incredible. That was so much better than I expected.
Right,
like so much better.
They played
not that I expected
album
to be bad.
Right.
It was just so good,
dude.
You know,
it sounded good. It was just like, am I really seeing and hearing this? Yeah. Like it was unreal. And then to know that like it's Igor back with like Max.
With Max, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was really cool. Soulfly's coming. I know that.
Oh yeah?
I'm not. I know who Soulfly is, but I don't know anything about their songs.
I like Soulfly. Funny story about Soulfly. When you were asking about the Starstruck thing earlier, one time I was in this band called Super Soul and we played at the Whiskey and there was fucking 9 people there. But Roy, the drummer from Soulfly, ran sound that night. And we played and he was like, dude, you guys are fucking awesome, blah, blah. He liked us a whole lot.
He's one of the nicest dudes in the world.
Yeah, we were shooting the shit and then, dude, the fucking door opens and I see this fucking head full of dreads. I'm like, who the fuck is that? And it's fucking Chi from the Deftones. I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And Roy was like, oh yeah, Chi's here, blah blah. He's like, you guys want to meet him? And we were like, yeah. We met him, blah blah, and we were talking. And Chi was like, I can't really hear you guys. And Roy's like, why don't you guys go upstairs to the green room, dude? Fucking me, my band, Chi, and whoever the fuck he was with, and Roy went up to the small room and hung out for like fucking 2 hours.
Wow,
it was the shit. Dude, they say moments of your life flash by when you die. That for sure is gonna fucking flash.
Did he die?
Yeah, he passed away.
Yeah, he. I think
horrible car accident, and he was in a coma for like a year and a half or something.
What's crazy about that, though, correct me if I'm wrong, I had read something about that he was like on the way home after his dad's funeral.
I don't remember
when he crashed. Specifics. Like he was leaving the funeral and then crashed.
Really?
Yeah,
that's horrible.
It's crazy, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah, one of the best moments of my life.
So speaking of hell yeah, you said you went on tour with them.
Mm-hmm.
So after that initial meeting, and it just dawned on me right now, after that initial meeting with Vinnie Paul, I'm assuming you then had more conversations with him later on, or was that it?
We did. He was really generous to me because he didn't love talking about the past. Like he was happy where he was at.
Yeah.
And I would keep bringing it up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always super nice, but you could tell he was like it. Like he was like, hey, like it's over, you know.
Right.
After the first few times, and after I got over that, we had like really good conversations. We broed out a few times, and the last time I saw him, I felt like we were like pals, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like we hung out, we drank together, we got trashed, and he left, like, you know?
Right.
So it was like, we didn't talk about anything music, we talked about life. Like, it was one of the coolest conversations I had, unfortunately, the last one. But yeah, I felt like I mean, not that we were friends and, you know, texted each other or anything like that, but I definitely felt like there was a bond that was formed.
Right.
You know, and as a fan, I was able to kind of get over that.
Right.
That starstruckness, which took with anybody Pantera, like it just takes forever, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. How long after that last time you hung out with him did he pass away?
Not that long.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I never met Vinny, although I did see he stood like 5 feet from me. I went to go see Motley Crue in Las Vegas. Nice. And I turn and he's right there and I'm like, what do I watch? Do I just stare at Vinny or do I stare at the show? Because he's I mean, it's Vinny Paul.
That dude was awesome. He was awesome.
I would have just stared at Vinny.
He was a real deal.
Yeah. Like, you know? He seems like it. Like, he just seemed like he was all about it through and through, you know? I was fortunate. I got to see Pantera 4 times. So super fortunate. I know that, you know, I remember as a kid, so happy catching a pick from Rex. And I know you know Rex, right? So
yeah,
you guys are
super nice as well. I'm very happy for him.
Just, I don't know. I think it's just really interesting to know that, I don't know, I guess that other people see Pantera the way I do or have, you know, I don't know. And then I think just what adds to that too is the fact that they're no longer here. So it's kind of like fuck, like it's almost like a feeling of like never closing that. I don't know. So that brings me to my next question. How do you feel about the reunion, the quote unquote reunion of Pantera?
I mean, I feel like it's not my place to even have an opinion on it.
Right.
Like it's their band.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know what? Like, I know it's like the Abbott Brothers band, but it's also Rex and Phil's, and if they want to do it, they should do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you feel, Adrian? Did we talk about this?
Yeah, you had asked me about it. It's you know, it's like Pepe said, it's what they need. They feel they need to do, right? It's a little weird for me, you know. I mean, I'm not
sure it's weird for them.
I'm not as big fan as you guys are, but I just, because of how hell-bent Dime and Vinny were on never doing anything with fucking Phil Anselmo ever again.
Right.
It was always fuck that guy, never again. They passed, and now it's like, oh, guess what we're gonna do?
I love it, man. I think that the musicians they're doing it with.
There's the guy from Anthrax, right?
Mm-hmm.
The drummer for Anthrax, and who's and Zach Wild. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like it's almost would be a waste if they didn't do it. That's my personal opinion. But I know a lot of people are mixed, dude. Like, it's crazy. Like, reading this stuff, people are talking shit. Like, but I'm like,
but fuck those people.
Yeah, right.
Like, you don't do it.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, it's like I always say, then don't go to the show.
Exactly.
Right.
You're mad about it, fine, but no fucking go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel like they have every right to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you like it or you don't like it, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
It's like with the Chili Peppers and John Frusciante, right? Everyone's real mad about it, but
why were they mad about that?
It's just John Frusciante is such a staple in that band. You know what I mean? When he left the band, and then they brought this John Hoppenheimer guy or whoever he was. You know, it's kind of, we want John, but now John is back. And
were they like that when Dave Navarro joined?
Oh, dude, do not even bring up that album to a real Chili Pepper fan. Yeah.
The roller coaster song?
Yeah.
Hey, so on that note, you wanted to get into the chat real quick?
Yes, let's do the chat real quick. Okay, so you said we're going to start recapping. So what did you think about Body Slam?
Dude, Body Slam's really good, man. They were like straight up that, I mean, like Strife hardcore, like, but they're like young, dude, they're young dudes.
Yeah.
I saw, they started posting a bunch of stories. They were playing some show in LA, and I was like, dang, these are young guys. But what they're doing it's really good, man. I was listening to them quite extensively. I love the fact that they bring in, and not only just in their lyrics, but they bring in that Chicano culture mix. I think there was like an intro or something where it's like a Mexican song that comes on, and just I was longing. Oh, and then there was one song where he starts singing in Spanish.
Yeah.
I will say that I was longing for more of that. It was just so good, dude.
Yeah.
I really, really, obviously these guys are up and coming. I love what they're doing, man. Going back to what we were saying earlier about that people doing like bands that kind of sound cookie cutter, like these guys sound authentic, like authentic hardcore. And the fact that they're combining that Chicano culture into what they're doing, dude, I absolutely love it.
Awesome. Okay. Sticking with that theme. Well, and today on the Shat. Is that how you wanted it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of stick with that same theme because I went down the rabbit hole when I found Body Slam, right? I just kept looking up similar bands, this and that. Turns out, what?
I have a feeling you're going to mention the same band that I discovered as a result of listening to Body Slam.
Let's see. Turns out, us Mexicans, we like our hardcore, right? So there's another band from LA that I found that are absolutely fucking amazing. They have 13,000 followers on Spotify. They've been around for a few years. 2021 was their first album. And they are a band by the name of Desmadre. No, not the band?
No, the band that I discovered, they're hardcore, like more punk, and they have a female singer.
Oh, okay. Well, save that.
All right.
No, I'm talking about Desmadre. They label themselves here as metal hardcore band from Los Angeles, California. But all Mexican dudes, man, fucking choloed out. The singer wears a clown nose. Yeah, but they're fucking awesome. I highly recommend it. So if you like Body Slam, you will like Desmadre.
So choloed out with the clown nose, huh?
Yep.
That's definitely different.
It is.
And how many listeners do they have?
Because I just said it, I'll say it again.
Sorry.
13,426.
Okay. I'm not good at listening when you tell me how many listeners.
You're not good at listening to me, period.
Yeah, I know.
So this is bands that you discover while you're shitting, right?
Well, it's not literally while I'm shitting.
Well, yes.
Sometimes. But no, it's up and coming bands. Paul would like me to focus more on up and coming bands, but literally, dude, I do, back in the day, they used to call it crate digging, right? Mm-hmm. Just looking for records. That's the digital version. Every day for hours, I just look for new bands to check out, listen to new shit, because I'm just craving new shit all the time.
And I hate it though, because like I don't look for new bands, right? I hate to say it. Sometimes I just go back and listen to whatever. Yeah. And but every once in a while, a band will pop up, and I'll be like, these guys are pretty good. And then so I'll send it to Adrian, and the shitty part is that he always, oh yeah, of course, man. I've known about these guys for like 10 years. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So he's always introducing me into new bands, and so.
There's a band called Pendejo.
Oh.
Who's like a stoner metal band in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
But they're from Holland.
Really?
What? Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they're really good.
Pendejo.
You guys should check them out.
I need to check that out. Speaking of that, though, Adrian, am I allowed to talk about the band that I discovered? I'm curious to see if you're going to know who they are.
The female fronted band you're talking about?
They're called Payasa.
No, I've never heard them.
Dude, they're really good. You should check them out.
Why did you ask permission?
Because he gets mad at me and says, well, just save it for the next episode, man. Right?
Yeah.
But you asking on air.
Oh, I know, but
it puts me on the spot.
Puts you on the spot.
Exactly, and that's why I have to do it.
Such a manipulator, Paul.
I know, man. Another thing, you had asked me a couple episodes to bring up Grizzly Bear and Starfucker.
Oh, man. I think I erased
and I have it in my notes.
I think I erased my notes.
Because those were two bands that you had never heard of that I told you that they happened to both show up on my Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, we're going to have to revisit that. I erased my notes on that.
Spotify Wrapped. Do you have Spotify?
I do.
Do you know who's on your Spotify Wrapped?
I don't even know what Spotify Wrapped is.
It's where at the end of the year they tell you who you listen to the most.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, I should have asked you to prepare it. That would have been cool to know. But they send you this whole thing. It's like a video that shows you.
But I don't really listen to Spotify.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I usually use iTunes.
Dude, right? I used to always be, until he was like, it's all about Spotify. So I switched over. The reason I switched over, though, is because iTunes took out that where you can download the song or whatever. Or I don't know, maybe they took out something that I was like, well, this sucks. So I had to switch to Spotify.
Yeah, and it's fucking amazing, right? Don't lie.
Whatever.
You love it.
All right. Anything else?
No, man. That's it.
Well, before we wrap it up.
I never wrap it up.
I know. I want to say, check out Nevermore Records, our YouTube channel. Just again, search Nevermore Records. Plastic Realm Toys, which is Adrian's YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Follow us on Instagram on H&H_podcasts, and you can find us on Facebook. Same thing, half and half. We also have a private group. Follow our recording studio on Instagram, Nevermore_Records_EPTX, which now you all know is connected to Let There Be Rock. So I believe it's just Let There Be Rock EP, right?
Yeah.
And even the website is www.letthereberockep.com.
.com, yeah.
And our guitar company, which is still in the works,
yes.
Nevermore_guitars or nevermoreguitars.com. Where can they find you, Pepe? If
on Instagram, I'm King Drums. No, King Pepe. King Pepe.
And that's Y, right? King with a Y.
That's right. King with a Y. KYNG Pepe. Kyngband, and that's it.
Okay.
And if you want to find me, just text Paul. And before we go, I do want to also just put out there again for you podcast listeners, check out our boys at Whipshaded and Faded, Eric, Cherub Ward, and Miker. They have a great podcast about tattooing if you want to know all these cool tattooing stories. They also have guests on that they interview other world-renowned tattooers. Also, check out our boys at Exiled Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Another
podcast.
Exiled podcast. Shout out to Stevie and Machine Gun Kelly. I just want him to know that I do love you, Stevie, but you started it, buddy. So yes, check out those two amazing podcasts.
So with that, Pepe, really appreciate. I know we've been talking about you being on for months, and so it's nice to finally have it come to fruition.
And this won't
thank
be
you for having me.
This won't be the last time, right?
Let's do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So just thank you, dude. I
just want to say, isn't it weird that we have a guitar player, bass player, and a drummer here?
We'll change the name to 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
But yet we're not in a band?
Exactly. What?
But yet we're not in a band?
Oh,
it's strange.
Well, Well, thank you, dude. I truly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for giving us your time. Love the stories.
You guys.
Can't wait to have you back on.
We're definitely going to have him back on because there's plenty of stories to go around for probably a dozen episodes at least.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pepe.
Thank you,
Pepe.
guys.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.